My name's Ilina. I identify as female. I'm a sophomore studying history and women's studies. And I was born in the U.S. along with my sister, but my parents were born and raised in India, and that's pretty much where my entire family's from.
Okay, cool. Do you have family living in India now?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
They're all over the place.
All right.
I mean, I'd probably say nation state. I consider myself a U.S. citizen. I consider myself an American. I grew up here, and yeah, that's basically it, yeah. Dude, that sounds chill. That sounds nice. But I think in this day and age, especially with like how we have countries, you have registration, that that makes transnational citizenship impractical. But I'm actually taking an ancient African history course right now, and one of the groups that I'm actually doing a research project on, there are a lot of nomadic tribes in the Kalahari Desert, and because they're in the desert, they're constantly moving around for water, water and stuff. So they've moved around for ages, so they don't have a sense of home. Home was where their community was. And it seems impractical with like the governmental structures we have set up today, but there are still people who live transnationally. And we think it's impossible to do it, but they do it because where home is where they get their resources to survive. So I spent most of my first 7 years of life, I traveled a lot. Well, not traveled, it was more, we basically moved every year. I moved 6 times within my first 7 years. So like by then I never really had a sense of what home was, like a centered base. It was always, oh, things are always changing, so I was very adaptable to change. But the place where I grew up in was majority white, and that's the place I'd identify as home because I grew up there. Like I had a lot of my experiences there, and basically the question was how it shaped me. It shaped me in the sense that I truly believe I am no different from people who are not of color or who are not privileged. Because it made me grow up to not care what race I was. It was, I'm going to do my job and I'm going to work and I'm going to be the best I can be, because I truly believe I am no different from any of these people. But then I also identify as Ann Arbor as my home because that's where school is and it's nice. And that shaped me in the sense that it's important to recognize people's differences because everyone has their own narrative. And you should always keep an open mind to listen to other people's narratives and stories and histories and science, because everyone is different and we need to appreciate that. So that shapes me as a person. So those two kind of different experiences, like, I think it makes me try to be someone who is compassionate, who wants to listen to people instead of talking over them and assuming that they're the only person, that I'm the know-it-all. And yeah, that's kind of like a big thing about my identity, like trying to understand where people come from. Well, as I said before, I never really, in my earliest years of life where a lot of developmental stuff happens, I moved a lot, so I didn't really make connections. I never really felt I belonged anywhere. Since, as I said before, my parents are Indian, so that makes me Indian American. And what makes me different from Indian Americans is I'm from the north, like as north as you can get in India, and that makes me fair-skinned. So in the Indian community, they're like, are you sure you're Indian because you're lighter skinned? My hair isn't as thick. Like, if you look at my sister's hair, it's obviously a lot thicker, but mine isn't. So growing up, I never really felt like I belonged anywhere because, I mean, that's how school, I guess, was and activities was. It was, you had like the jocks, you had the hockey team, you had the girlfriends of the hockey team, you had, and I always belonged in the group that we never really fit in anywhere because I just thought, I think my sense of belonging is rooted in I shouldn't belong to any specific group. I shouldn't belong to a certain stereotype. I shouldn't belong to to just anything. I shouldn't like limit myself. I mean, I'm already in a group. I'm a human being. So I guess just that, my feeling of belonging in an ideal that I shouldn't belong anywhere kind of as like, it's helpful because I avoid drama. And it also, I guess it's easier for me to see from another's perspective, and it gives me perspective, I think. I feel like they're both equally important. You can have legal rights in a certain country, but you might not feel like you belong there.
Mm-hmm.
And you might feel like you belong in a certain country, but you don't have your legal rights. So I think both are just maybe not mutually exclusive, but like they can, just because you have legal rights doesn't mean you have substantive rights.
Yeah.
Probably butchered that way. Vice versa. So I mean, yeah, both are equally important, but to have, if when you're living in it's a bonus if you've got both. I think this election has revealed that it's more important now more than ever to listen to each other. We need to hear about other people's stories. And I think it's also very concerning that for so many years people have been saying racism was finished with Martin Luther King, like Martin Luther King ended racism. People actually say that. Now this election is is an opportunity for people of color and minorities and all sorts of minorities say, we have been oppressed. This is what has happened to us for over 200 years. You can't solve it in under 10. This is something that's going to take a huge process, and this process includes a lot of dialogue. And in order to have that dialogue, we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and learning how to disagree respectively. Because a lot of people have been telling me, and I know I'm not speaking on the behalf of other minorities, but I'm sure some people have heard, you guys belong here, don't worry. And my response is, we belong here, then why don't a lot of people don't make us feel like that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, we need to consider what we want to have as normal and what should not be accepted at all. And that is something that will be uncomfortable. It's going to be a hard process. And anytime there's a big change, you're going to be uncomfortable. There is going to be a lot of issues, but we need to have it in order to move forward, because we can think of it, as Bernie Sanders said, as a political and social revolution. We're not actually fighting, no. We are using debate as a tool to revolutionize and make America great again. Well, not again, make America great, because when he refers to make America great again, like, there was something bad going on. So, not make America great again. Can't believe I'm saying this, but just make America truly great. And with the political climate, I'm personally, with this on campus, I was disgusted to hear all the stories I heard. I should not be walking into a bathroom hearing girls question whether or not they should wear their hijabs or not. I should not be turning on the news every day to see another black man being shot. And then people denying that it's because, then people giving excuses for why he was shot instead of giving a very simple answer. And I think some of these answers are simple. It's just complicated to address those simple answers, because those simple answers are things that people want to look away from. And it's now we have to use the rhetoric we learned in elementary school as being the bystander is worse than being the bully.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take that and apply that really strongly, because by staying quiet, you're not helping anyone, and eventually you're not helping yourself. So